Recent years have seen intense debates and speculation about the Grand Canyon's Forbidden Zone, all because over 100 years ago, specifically in 1909, the local Phoenix newspaper in Arizona reported that archaeologists had discovered an Egyptian cave there. And this is sheer madness, because as far as we know, no Egyptian has ever been to these lands. The article stated that the explorer was sailing down the Colorado River when he saw a strange cave carved into the side of one of the cliffs. He reported his discovery to the Smithsonian Institute, which sent its scientists to investigate. Later, the local press also found out about it, and after a thorough investigation, they reported that the Smithsonian Institute had transported about 40 truckloads of Egyptian artifacts from the cave, and then they destroyed all evidence that the Egyptians had ever been there. The Smithsonian Institute, of course, denies all these claims. Years later, it has become almost impossible to establish the truth, but such rumors still circulate among researchers. In addition to all this, experts from the Ancient Origins site report that many geological formations of the Grand Canyon were named after Hindu and Egyptian gods and temples, but no one really knows why exactly. In the Grand Canyon National Park, there is also a presumed restricted area where tourists cannot go. It is said that this place is full of ancient tunnels dug by the Hopi people, but no one is allowed in, and any caves or old salt mines are closed even to researchers. The ancient Olympic champion Caniska of Sparta was one of the most legendary women of ancient times. But this name is almost impossible to find in ancient history textbooks. Caniska was a Spartan princess, the daughter of King Archidamus II, the sister of King Agesilaus, and the first woman to ever participate in the Olympic Games. According to historical records, Caniska was probably between 40 and 50 years old when she participated in the Olympic Games in 396 BC. And she was no ordinary princess. As a Spartan royal, she had her own stable where she could breed, raise, and train horses. And since Spartan society actually encouraged physical training for both men and women, it wasn't a huge shock to some when Caniska entered the Olympics. But this sharply contrasts with neighboring Greece, where girls were hardly allowed in public and kept more isolated. According to some reports, Caniska was so enduring that she competed in the so-called Tethrapon, a type of ancient triathlon involving chariots. She won the games in both 396 and 392 BC. And this is in direct contradiction to what you will find on the internet in almost all major news. Because it is claimed today that the first Olympic Games where women were allowed to compete took place in 1900 in Paris. But as we see, it was much earlier, more than 2,000 years ago in Sparta. As official history believes, the great dynasty of ancient Egypt was founded in 3100 BC. This was the beginning of the pharaohs and pyramids, but what was before that? Who were those mysterious people who gave rise to the powerful kingdoms of ancient Egypt? According to experts, Neolithic activity in Egypt took place around 6,000 years before our era. It was the lifestyle and technological achievements of these nameless people that allowed Egypt to become one of the most advanced civilizations of that time. But who were they and where did they come from? Or an even more important question, why did archaeologists ignore the Egyptian ancestors? Recent analysis of 6 ancient burials may shed some light. In excavations in the Western Desert, researchers found evidence that those who lived here before the Egyptians were engaged in such activities as taming large horned cattle and goats. They buried their dead in complex tombs and built megalithic structures. Archaeologists lack exact information about them. However, judging by a number of skeletons and a small amount of artifacts found recently, it can be confidently said that this was indeed a civilization that existed long before the arrival of the pharaohs. In 2010, a group of archaeologists working in Kolkata, India, stumbled upon a mysterious room in the National Library. It is over 250 years old. It was built in the 1760s as a palace, and then converted into a library in 1891. After the discovery of the mysterious room, there were many assumptions about its purpose. Some claimed that it was built on the orders of United Kingdom lords and was used as a torture chamber. Others said it was a secret treasure vault where United Kingdom masters stored all the artifacts they stole from the locals. After all the speculation, some researchers said that the chamber was actually just a pocket in the structure and was probably used by architects to strengthen the building's foundation. In essence, it was empty, so if there was ever anything interesting in it, it's long gone. However, the theory promoted by conspiracy theorists suggests that archaeologists found something so mysterious in it that they simply lied to the world. After all, the National Library is quite a mysterious building in itself. Locals say it's haunted, and some visitors even feel a breath on the back of their neck when they try to read. One of the most discussed and controversial topics is, of course, the existence of the Necronomicon, also known as the Book of the Dead, a grimoire mentioned by the famous writer Lovecraft. The book also appears in the Evil Dead movie franchise, but it was first mentioned in 1924 in Lovecraft's story, The Hound. Lovecraft claimed that the book was written by a real person named Mad Arab Abdul al-Hazred. The Necronomicon supposedly contains the history of ancient godlike beings, such as Cthulhu. It also tells the reader exactly how to summon them in physical form. But how much truth is there in this mysterious book? Lovecraft claimed that he came up with the name Necronomicon in a dream, but modern historians believe that Lovecraft was influenced by a collection of stories written by Robert Chambers called The King in Yellow. When asked about the authenticity of the Necronomicon, Lovecraft himself admitted that such a book never existed, as well as a man named Abdul al-Hazred. He stated he invented everything himself. Nevertheless, there are some convinced supporters who say that Lovecraft knew more than he admitted. He wrote that there are still 5 original copies of the Necronomicon in the world. One in the United Kingdom Museum, another at the University of Buenos Aires, a third at Harvard, one in France, and the final copy in the fictional town of Arkham, Massachusetts. As conspiracy theorists say, if the Necronomicon is indeed real, these are the places to start looking. Friends, what interesting theories of alternative history do you know? Write in the comments, and I'm off to prepare the next episode. Bye!